Now, from next week, new weight loss drug Mounjaro will be available in Ireland via private prescription.
Some are calling this a game changer for the Irish weight loss industry. And here to explain why is the clinical lead for obesity at the Irish College of GPs, Dr. Mick Crotty. Good morning to you, Mick. Good to see you. In the press over the weekend, it was being dubbed the King Kong of weight loss drugs. So why is there such excitement, I guess, and such hype surrounding Mounjaro?
Yeah, I suppose this is a next generation medication. We've had medications for, 10, 15 years now, and they've been effective, but this is more effective. So more people will respond and respond in a stronger way. We know obesity is a very complicated medical issue. Not everybody responds to the treatments we have had up to now, and this will allow more people to respond. So huge, significant improvements in their health.
So do you mean some people who haven't responded to something will say, like, Ozempic might hopefully respond to Mounjaro?
Potentially, yeah. With something like Ozempic, maybe a third of people will have a very good response, a third of people will respond okay, and a third of people will not respond.
Right.
And there's nothing people can do to make themselves respond. It's very much biological. It's in the subconscious brain in how it works. So with this medication, this new medication, instead of targeting one hormone pathway in the brain, it hits two different hormone pathways. So more people will respond and respond in a stronger way. So with this, we'll see, 60, 70, 80% of people getting a very good response from the medication.
And what are those results? Like, how much weight loss can people lose, or how much weight can you lose over a year, say?
Yeah, in general, people come back and they'll tell us, I'm not as hungry, I'm fuller quicker, I'm not thinking about food. That food noise in my brain, the constant battle is reduced, somewhat effortlessly. They're not thinking about food all the time. They're not dieting or restricting. And over the first 3 to 6 months, kind of weight will probably change more, health will change more. Eventually, by about a year, about 20.9% body weight change is what's seen in the studies, which is very significant.
And we'll get down to the actual practicalities of it in a second, but I suppose there's kind of a psychological battle when it comes to weight loss. It feels like globally that a lot of people are just like, eat less, move more. But this is a very complicated issue, and an awful lot of people need drugs to do this, and obesity is an epidemic.
Yeah, I think, when I talk about obesity, we're talking about a medical condition.
Yeah.
We're talking about excess fatty tissue that's having a negative impact on health. And that might be on somebody's medical, metabolic health, their mechanical health, their psychological health. So we're not talking about losing weight for a wedding. We're not talking about being thin. That's not what these treatments are for. These are for people who've got a medical condition who will need to take these treatments long term to manage that, in the same way as we manage cholesterol, blood pressure, diabetes. Obesity is very complicated, genetics, biology, our environment. There's a huge amount of factors that influence it. But it's not a lack of willpower. It's not a lack of motivation. Telling somebody to eat less and move more is a bit like telling somebody with depression to cheer up. It's a lovely idea, but it's a gross oversimplification.
Wow. Who will be eligible to get this drug prescribed to them? Like, are we even looking at, say, younger people, teenagers? Like, where does it start and where does it end? And is it a lifetime, basically, signing up to this drug?
Yeah, so I suppose treatment is needed for life. It might not be this medication. It could be a medication and then a surgery. It could be a medication with nutritional, psychological, behavioural strategies. It might be this medication until a different one comes along in 5 years' time. So treatment is needed for life, because we're not curing a problem, we're treating it. Right. We're treating the subconscious part of the brain where weight and appetite is regulated to facilitate it coming down. But if we stop the treatment, then the disease comes back. So people will regain weight over time, despite knowing all about healthy eating and physical activity, because their biology is no longer regulated. As far as the licensing, it'll be adults over 18. There is BMI criteria as far as who is eligible. I suppose that's a little bit challenging, because BMI doesn't tell us about health, the body composition. It just tells us about size. And we're actually, in the field of obesity, we're moving beyond BMI, now really focusing on health. So really the people who should access this treatment are those whose health is significantly affected by excess weight, by excess fatty tissue.
Okay, so we know that Ozempic is free for patients who are on it for diabetic reasons in Ireland. There's Wegovy now. This is available. This is Mounjaro available for private prescription. We hear about the black market all the time. We're hearing about it all the time. So it feels like there's a global shortage of are these drugs actually accessible in Ireland, or are people just taking a punt and getting them on Facebook or whatever?
Yeah, I suppose it's a huge challenge, because the cost of these medications is very significant. Like you said, if somebody has diabetes, they can access it for free. If somebody has obesity, well, that person has to pay for it. And again, there's a lot in there as far as weight bias and stigma and that blame and shame around weight. If you want to take a medication, well, you have to pay for it. But if you have a real medical problem like diabetes, you should be able to access treatment. We still have that stigma in society. obesity.
Okay.
The hope is with time, when we see people's health improving, that people will be able to access these treatments better. But really the treatments need to be used properly and appropriately. They're not skinny jabs, they're not weight loss medications, they're obesity treatments to improve health. So again, this is not a short-term, reset, kickstart. This is something that somebody will need to continue long-term.
How much do you, Mounjaro, it's expected to cost distributors over 250 for a month's supply. So how much is that going to be for someone?
That's at the lower doses.
Yeah.
When the higher doses become available, they're going to be more expensive. So I suppose, again, there's a huge issue as far as access. Some of the people who will be most in need of this medication for their health won't be able to access it. And it's just driving inequality. So again, it should be available for people who really need it. And on the other side then, GPs, doctors need to be resourced to treat obesity. They need to be given access to, referral pathways. They need to be given access to extra supports and time and remuneration for treating obesity, because I suppose GPs are now being asked to do extra work on top of what they're already doing, but they're not being given the tools to do it. So as part of my role in the ICGP, there's a lot we're doing around education, and they're aware this is a really important issue to try and kind of, support GPs to help treat people.
Okay.
But GPs need more support.
What about side effects, though? Because, I mean, the results, the data seems too good to be true almost. So, I mean, what side effects are patients reporting?
So commonest things people will notice will be gastrointestinal side effects, nausea, heartburn, diarrhea, constipation, not uncommon at the start. I think what people get wrong is these medications don't work by making you too sick to eat. We should not be tolerating side effects. If somebody has side effects, we're increasing the dose too quickly.
Okay.
We're going too fast with it. Again, patterns of eating, food choices, nutrition, physical activity, sleep, stress, all of these things are vital, not for weight loss, but for health and to support people. So if somebody is eating small and often, they're prioritizing protein and fiber, they'll feel better. If they take high-fat foods, very processed foods, they're not going to feel very well, and their bowel is not going to be very happy.
We'd love to hear from you this morning in relation to this, the drug. If you are taking something like this for diabetes or obesity, for weight loss issues, 0896 111 111. We'd love to hear some lived experience in relation to this. Clinical lead for obesity at the Irish College of GPs. Dr. Mick Crotty, a pleasure to have you in. Thank you so much.
Really interesting.
Thanks so much.